Well, good afternoon. It is with a grateful heart today that I stand with General Shellito to announce that effective October 31st, 2010, General Shellito will retire as the Adjutant General of the Minnesota National Guard. I want to start by just saying this saddens me because I believe General Shellito is one of the finest public servants the state of Minnesota has ever seen. I've had the privilege and the honor to be governor during a time when great demands have been placed on our Minnesota National Guard and the military more broadly and more deeply, and the active military and the reserve component as well. But I've worked with General Shellito and his wife Yvonne through all sorts of demands that have been placed on the Guard. I think it's fair to say that the Minnesota National Guard is one of the best, if not the best, National Guards in the entire United States of America. That doesn't happen by accident. It happens because thousands and thousands and thousands of men and women raise their hand and hear the call of their state and hear the call of their country and are drawn to serve in one of the most courageous, most demanding, and most respected areas of service possible, and that is military service. General Shellito is a remarkable leader. He's a remarkable individual. His leadership and the tone and the tempo and the expectations that he set for the Minnesota National Guard and continues to set for the Minnesota National Guard has been nothing short of excellence. And the Minnesota National Guard has time and time again met and exceeded that expectation to the effect of a very grateful nation. And our Minnesota National Guard and the units have repeatedly met and exceed the expectations and performance measurements they've been given and are routinely recognized as some of the most effective and the most effective units in the United States military. A little more, though, about General Shellito. He has held the position of Adjutant General since November of 2003. His military career began in 1968 when he enlisted in the active duty Army. He served in a number of capacities, including receiving a commission and serving as a second lieutenant in the infantry in 1969. In 1970, he went to Vietnam and served in Vietnam beginning in 1970. Some years later, in 1973, General Shellito enlisted in the Minnesota National Guard. He has served in the Minnesota National Guard for 37 years. That career includes many capacities, including command assignments at the platoon, company, battalion, brigade, and division levels. His decorations and distinguished awards are many, and I'm going to read many of them because I think they are so significant that they're worthy each one of being read and each one being recognized and reflecting on what they mean. His decorations include the Distinguished Service Medal, the Legion of Merit, the Bronze Star Medal, the Meritorious Service Medal, the Army Commendation Medal, the Republic of Vietnam Gallantry Cross with Bronze Star, the Combat Infantryman's Badge, and Parachute Badge. His education and training has included stints at the U.S. Command and General Staff College, the U.S. Army War College, and the Defense Strategy College. As with so many of our Minnesota National Guard members and leaders, he is a citizen soldier, and he also has many other life experiences beyond just his outstanding leadership and service in the military, including he was formerly the president of the Alexandria Technical College at the time and still is viewed as one of the most effective and innovative and dynamic college leaders in the state of Minnesota. In fact, one of the things that attracted to him in this position for consideration as Adjutant General is the stellar job that he did as the president of that college. It performed then and continues to perform at exemplary levels. Many people may not know, but for a modest-sized state, Minnesota has the 5th largest National Guard in the United States of America by volume. That's not even by per capita, that's total volume. We have approximately 14,000 Minnesotans and others who serve in the Minnesota National Guard. National Guard operates 63 facilities in Minnesota, and since 2003, approximately 18,000 people from the Minnesota National Guard have deployed during this time of war. I've had the privilege and the honor to serve as governor during this time. Like I mentioned, it's a very challenging time for the Minnesota National Guard and the military more broadly, but at every juncture, every time there's been a challenge, every time there's been a request General Shellito and the Minnesota National Guard have answered the call and done it in exemplary fashion and have done an outstanding job for our state. I'm very honored and grateful to have been associated with General Shellito and this team. I could think of no finer person to have led the Minnesota National Guard. I want to be clear, he's going to continue to lead it for several more months, so he's not going just yet. But when we think about the types of qualities and characteristics that you want in public service, you want people with character and integrity and strength and courage and experience and insight and discernment who have the ability to relate to people and lead people in an effective way and need be strong. And he has done all of that through the most challenging of circumstances throughout his military career, and including his time as Adjutant General for the Minnesota National Guard. So General Shellito, on behalf of Minnesota, on behalf of Minnesotans, we know that your position is one of the now most important positions in all of state government. You are entrusted with the leadership of 14,000 Minnesotans and their families and all that that means in terms of that responsibility. You have done an outstanding, remarkable job for the state of Minnesota. We are more indebted to you than we can ever repay, but know that as you wind up your final months here as Adjutant General Leader of our Minnesota National Guard, you have a grateful state, a grateful governor, and a grateful set of citizens for your tremendous contribution to our state. And we invite you to come forward and make some comments. Thank you, General.
Mark, did you get that on tape? No, seriously. Governor Pawlenty, ladies and gentlemen, first and foremost, I have some prepared comments here. I want to thank Governor Pawlenty for giving my wife, Yvonne, and I the honor and privilege of serving the citizen soldiers, airmen, and their families of the Minnesota National Guard and the citizens of Minnesota. We're going to be forever grateful. It's been 6.5 years since I was in this room and we accepted this position. And as many of you know, because you've been there following us the entire way, it's been a historic period of time. Again, as the governor said, over 18,000 of our family members, friends, and co-workers have been called upon to serve our nation in harm's way. And I can say without exception, they have performed whatever mission they were assigned above and beyond all our expectations. I'm truly proud that they represent our state and our nation. I'm especially pleased because a lot of people are asking why now, but I'm very pleased that the governor has begun this period of transition for the Minnesota National Guard. It's imperative that we ensure that the continuity of leadership of the Minnesota National Guard is seamless. And while Minnesota is at its lowest number of guardsmen deployed since 9/11, operations continue and we are getting geared up for major deployments in spring of this next year. They have been announced. To the citizens of Minnesota, I want to assure them and all of you that we will not lose sight of ensuring that Minnesota soldiers and airmen are prepared for whatever missions they are assigned, whether it's here at home or abroad. I also want to continue my focus on ensuring that our nation-leading Beyond the Yellow Ribbon program is solidly established for continued success. My goal is to synchronize our community resources squarely behind all Minnesotan service members and their families. We will do this through our network of the Yellow Ribbon cities and towns and reintegration with such programs as our First Lady's Family Care Initiative. Governor, Yvonne and I thank you and the First Lady for a meaningful and memorable 7 years. You both have always been there for our service members, and we're truly grateful for that support, for your leadership, and I'm going to say it because I love saying this when I have to give an introduction. You have truly been the Commander-in-Chief for the Minnesota National Guard. Thank you.
I want to also recognize Yvonne, and as with everything in life, significant others and spouses play such an important role. And the men and women who serve in our military, of course, when they serve, their families serve as well. And that's true all the way up through the ranks, all the way to general. And so we have seen Yvonne, even though she doesn't have a formal title, be just tireless and passionate and so kind-hearted and good-hearted to be so faithful to the cause of supporting the men and women in the military, not just for her husband and her family, but to thousands and thousands of others, and hundreds of events. In her words in public and her quiet deeds, she has done just a spectacular job. And I want to also say on behalf of our state, Yvonne, thank you for all you've done for this cause as well. We appreciate it. Maybe you would want to say a word. No, or maybe not. It's up to you. No? Okay. General Shellito also is a very modest person, so he doesn't brag on himself too much, but if I could just share a few highlights from his time as the leader of the National Guard. And he mentioned a couple of them, but one that I think is worth reemphasizing is this Beyond the Yellow Ribbon effort and program in the state of Minnesota was a pioneering effort. I think it's fair to say that General Shellito was the person who envisioned it. Certainly Chaplain Morris and many other people were key pioneers in the program as well. They worked really hard to get it off the ground. It's become a national model, both formally and informally, to the point where Congress has recognized it as the leading reintegration and support program in the nation. They've provided some acknowledgement of it and funding of it, even at the federal level, and we hope that that continues. But that program is just one measure of General Shellito's leadership. If you also look at the performance metrics of these groups who deployed and otherwise called to service, whether it be on state mission or federal mission, you'll see, for example, the division command that just was in Basra and had the command and control responsibilities for the southern third of Iraq, an extraordinary assignment, really almost unparalleled since World War II for a National Guard unit. And then you look at the feedback and reviews that unit received from the, as they call it, the big army, both subjectively and objectively, and it just simply set the standard for what was expected of a unit like that. We see that same kind of response, whether it had been the brigade. Of course, keep in mind the brigade served now, I think, the longest continuous deployment in Iraq of any military unit in the history of the conflict. That unit, of course, set the mark and exceeded it for performance expectations, and all of the others as well. We can show you the numbers that the Minnesota National Guard, whether it relates to recruitment, whether it relates to retention, whether it relates to performance measurement in drill or on the battlefield, objectively meets and exceeds the standard in a nation-leading way. It literally is, I think, the best National Guard in the United States of America. And again, that happens not by accident, but because from the top down you have incredible leadership. I'll also just say a quick word about the process for searching for and finding General Shellito's successor. We are going to have a screening committee. The members of the committee are listed for you in the press release that was handed out. That would include General Blum, who till recently was the head of the National Guard Bureau for the entire country. Of course, most recently he served as a deputy commander at Northcom. We will have, of course, the incredible Minnesota icon, General Vesey, again serve on this screening committee. He led it last time. He, of course, not only is from Minnesota, but previously the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff and regarded as one of the most remarkable military leaders in the nation's history. Dennis Schulstad, who's a former brigadier general in the Minnesota Air Guard, will serve on this committee, and former Minneapolis City Council member, as will Ginny Morris, who's a business leader in Minnesota, and Ron Schutz, who heads up our Judicial Selection Commission, to round out the group. We will have a replacement name sometime in the next few months, but General Shellito will continue to have full command and control responsibilities and fulfill the duties of Adjutant General through October 31st later this year. So with that, on this topic, we'll be happy to take your questions, and if there's other things, I'll stick around and answer those after General Shellito departs. Don.
General, can you explain why you're leaving right now? Why not stick around for a little while longer?
Age. First of all, the appointment is a 7-year fixed-year appointment. If I were to be reappointed, I could only serve about 6 months, and that would be totally unacceptable in my viewpoint. So it's a matter of the term is up. The age doesn't make me eligible. Again, Minnesota would have to change the law and literally pick up the tab, and that's not going to happen. I wouldn't recommend it. And also, I'm tired. It's been a long, steady run. In turn, what am I going to do? I don't know. I have my booking agent, who is hard. But seriously, I'm not going to worry about that. Everyone I've talked to, all my peer groups, says first thing and the best advice we would give you is take a month off for sure. Don't do anything quick or, get relaxed, get settled down, and this too will come. I will tell you there's been offers, the kind of interest, and so I'm not worried about what's going to happen after that. So it's the right time, the right place, and we're going into a new transition too. All you have to do is listen to the national winds to say change is coming. And now, so the force is making it so.
Are you still living in Alex?
I still have a house in Alec, and we have a house here in Woodbury, and I'm the proud owner of 2 homes, and we have to sort that one out. So we'll figure that out.
What are you thinking about?
Right now, I don't know. I'm not ready. I don't want to get my roots too deep. And again, I'm very sensitive to, it takes years to build something, and I don't want to go in there with a flash in the pan unless that's what the original intent was.
How old are you?
I will turn 65 in August. Yes, I know I look much younger, but, so.
What's the most satisfying accomplishment you had in your career?
Most satisfying, when I joined the Minnesota National Guard, I set 2 goals. Coming out of Vietnam and so forth, and then those that were around in the mid-'70s know what the environment was like back then. I said one of my goals would be I want to leave it better than I found it. That was one of the key goals. And then my second goal was to be the commander of 2 of the 136 out of Moorhead, a nice lieutenant colonel spot. And that's what I did. And I said, if I get promoted beyond that, it's going to be great gravy. Enjoy it, take advantage of it, but you've achieved your goal. And I think that's been helpful as I moved up, as I wasn't so worried about the next position as not taking care of the one that you did have. So, from that viewpoint, I flew over with Congressman Overstar just the other day, flying over Camp Ripley. And if you haven't been to Camp Ripley recently, it's just gone phenomenal. And as I looked at the troops when I was over, I've been to Iraq 4 times, to Afghanistan twice, seeing the troops, seeing how they're doing, and listening to the people. It's sort of like being a coach. You can't go out and play the game, but all of a sudden you just stand there in awe at the skill sets that we have with these young people. They just need some general direction and guidance, and they'll move forward, and they will astound you each and every time. And that's awful proud to stand on the high ground looking down and observing that and just feeling good. I've been an educator all my life. Started in the classroom, worked my way up through presidency and so forth. So I've been working with the young. And what I am seeing today is in the Minnesota National Guard with these youth is just phenomenal. That you can't buy, you can't create, you just see it, taste it, feel it, and value it. So.
General, we've seen the U.S. government focus on spending a lot of the National Guard resources overseas, deployments overseas, and doing a lot of things that the federal troops used to do. Do you think that's where it should be, or do you think that should change?
The question I think you're dealing with, we were a strategic force, which meant we were the stepchild, got the hand-me-downs, and we weren't even the stepchild, we're the orphans that got all the hand-me-downs. And I don't ever want to go back to that. What the operational side has given each and everyone out there focus on something to do. There's an old axiom in the military, an idle soldier is one who's about ready to get into trouble. And what we've been able to do is take them to the training areas. They've been traveling around the world, experiencing things, doing things, going back home, becoming better and better. So I would never want to go back to that. I do recognize, though, that we're not going to be able to get each and everything that we've gotten now during the war operations. That's not necessary, but just keeping us trained and on that edge, because we have skill sets in the reserve component that cannot be replicated. Simple things like our mechanics have been doing that job for year after year after year. They know that machine inside and out. If you flew up to Duluth, they would say their airframes are being Duluthized, I think is the term they use. They're going through it and getting all that tender love and care. Where on the active side, they keep continually rotating them through positions, so you get a couple of years here and a couple of years there. Yeah, you may be well-rounded, but you're not a subject matter expert either. So, no, I think we're on the right track. The issues are going to be is what's going to be the new environment. As a state, one of my key responsibilities is working with Homeland Security to make an emergency management. As you know, we have our annual flood fight, but we also have forest fires. We had the bridge collapse. We had flooding in southeast Minnesota. Well, actually, we had fires up north, the bridge in the center, and flooding in the south, all almost near simultaneous. And the troops came back from deployment. They were in training. They immediately hopped into vehicles and went to southeast Minnesota, and they were never happier, because that's why they joined the Guard. So.
Governor, can you talk a little bit about the reappointment or the appointment process? You intend to appoint the new general before you leave office. Is that something you want to do, or you feel you have to? And also, will the next general have combat experience? That's a prerequisite.
Sure.
Selection.
Thank you, Mark. First of all, we have this screening committee. We're going to invite applications from individuals who will hopefully be qualified. There's some minimum requirements set out in statute and law in Minnesota. But beyond that, I think you'll see the applicant pool, or at least the finalist part of that, will feature people who are seasoned, experienced, tested, most likely in battle, or at least in combat deployment situations. I don't want to, presuppose an outcome, but I think the kinds of characteristics we'll be looking for in a leader who fills this position, particularly in these times, will be somebody who is experienced, seasoned, established leader, and almost certainly will have combat deployment or significant deployment command and leadership experience.
So that might preclude a woman here.
Not necessarily. I mean, there's a number of many women who've been deployed in the last 8 years, 10 years, who have gone into, combat deployments, maybe not in combat units per se, but certainly in theater.
And your selection process will happen before you leave office?
It will, yeah, I'm sorry I didn't address that part. Our goal here in rough terms is to have the person announced probably mid-late summer, August, kind of early mid-August timetable. And then that person will have a transition time with General Shellito, but General Shellito will retain command responsibility until October 31st. And it's something I very much am looking forward to do. This is, General Shellito and I have been, in many places around the world, including Kosovo and Bosnia together. We have been to funerals and deployments and many, many ceremonies, and so I have a particular interest and appreciation for and respect for this position. I think I very intimately understand the profound importance of this position. I think it's as important or more important than ever in Minnesota. I think it is now one of the most important positions in the state for all the obvious reasons, and I will take great care and caution to make sure that the person who succeeds General Shellito will be well fitted for the position.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but once you appoint a general, another governor can't come in and unappoint.
It's a statutorily set term, Mark.
Question about that too, Governor.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with the history of this, but is that something you should do as a governor leaving in 2 months? Or should the new governor have an opportunity?
Well, I feel that I know this very well, and I think I know the needs and expectations of the job extremely well. It's not a political appointment. It won't be a political appointment. Whoever I pick will serve the state well, regardless of who's governor and regardless of what unfolds over the next 6 years. And so I don't see it connected to politics or anything like that.
General, can you explain the importance or how unusual it is to have 18,000 people deployed in your 6.5 years? And I assume that hasn't happened since World War II.
That would be correct. That would be correct. and it's an evolution. The first deployments were in the governor's office area, and he has a flag that was given to him by the 216th out of Monticello, one of the first to go over downtown Baghdad right afterwards. You know, those were the speed bumps, but it was a company size, a smaller unit, and their leadership, Major Lilly. And we worked through that. We started tweaking other things. We found out those little things, and that became the genesis, actually, of the Yellow Ribbon program as they started to come back home. And then all of a sudden, we started saying we need some fixes to make it better, so we started partnering with the VA. We started partnering with the Veteran County Service Officers and TRICARE, because those are the big things. So I'm proud to say when a Minnesota soldier returns from overseas deployment, almost to 100%, they are signed in with the VA. They are registered with their county veteran service officer. They know what their benefits are. We have members from MNSCU there. So that's taken 7 years. And then it's almost gotten to the point now that it's you know, it'd be like you going into the room and you've worked with someone for years. We've been there, we've done that, you know how we operate, yep, go ahead, let's move on. It's gotten to that precision. And so whether it's 18, it's just as hard to move 18 as it is 1,800. And, but we've developed the systems and so forth in place to make our transfer to like Fort Lewis or Camp Shelby or Fort Sill. We've received accolades, they become totally prepared. In fact, in one case, it almost became a problem because when they saw the packet was done by Minnesota, they didn't really double check it because they thought it was that good. And we said, no, you will double check it because we don't want any errors. So I don't know if that answers your question, but it's an evolution process. And then the beauty of command is I've never had to create a sense of urgency. Everyone knew that this was important. This was real world. It wasn't an exercise. It was happening. So as far as discipline problems or getting them focused, it was never an issue that way. So in some ways, it's a blessing.
How much did your experience in Vietnam affect your desire to have the Yellow Ribbon concept? Or coming back to Vietnam?
I would say 100%. I mean, you don't, I think, you know, sociologists would call it imprinting or whatever, but the things that were imprinted in my mind that first year, if you will, are still there. You know, I could still tell you exactly where I was, who was I talking to, et cetera. And those are the things that said, all right, we just got to make sure this happens. And the irony of it is, they're the same things people are experiencing now. It's human nature. And it's not just conflict. I mean, we got to be cognizant too. I really am sensitive to emergency room nurses. They see as much trauma as most soldiers would do over in Iraq or Afghanistan. And so these are a lot of things that we just have to keep in mind. But yeah, it was definitely there, and thus the phrase. In fact, I will tell you this: as we started the Yellow Ribbon program, my generation, the Vietnam generation, really struggled initially. I could see it in their eyes in talking to them. And then all of a sudden, it's sort of like it burst. They got over it. And now you will find that the Vietnam veterans are the strongest proponents of our Yellow Ribbon program. They're working, the Patriot Guard, they're doing all of that. The biggest question for all of us now is how do we implant into this current generation that what they were given is not normal. This is a gift. This is something that people who never had it made sure you got it. So don't assume if it happens again that someone else is going to pick up the ball. So those are the things that we're trying to work on, and that's our next phase.
General Shellito, can you help us understand the universe of people who may even be eligible for this? I mean, it looks like
Yep.
you have to be a present officer who is at least a brigadier general. How many?
Yeah, that's not right. But can I jump back, Pat? Attorney McClung points out that the statute is mandatory as to appointments, as shall appoint. So we have to have somebody in the position. Only the governor can appoint. But in addition to that, I think I'm well-suited to consider and make the appointment. Yeah, on the statutory criteria, Brian, is my understanding the way that they that's been interpreted as the person has to hold the rank of at least major or above. It says staff officer or
Field officer.
field.
Field grade officer.
Isn't this language say staff officer? Or is it-
Adjutant General should hold rank of Major General, maybe appointed to
No, once they are appointed, but
However, the Adjutant General may not be promoted to the rank of Major General without having at least 20 years of experience in the National Guard, at least one of which has been in the rank of Brigadier General.
May I answer?
no, I don't think that's right. But anyhow, go ahead.
Yeah, and this is the new law, but what happens is, they're saying, all right, any major in the Minnesota National Guard can apply for my position. They are a field grade officer, not a general officer, a field grade officer. Field grade is your major, lieutenant colonel, and colonels. Then they get into brigadier and major. The major general is the highest rank I can hold. You know, the governor could give me a 3rd star if he chose to do so, hint. But it would have been, it would be a brevet or an honorary. It would not be a federally recognized position.
Are you talking dozens of people that could use folks, or is it something smaller?
Right now, there's only 2 2-star generals in the state of Minnesota, the division commander and myself. Then there's about 5 1-star generals, 2 over in division, 2 on my staff, and 1 extra. And then I think we'll take another one, General Trost, who has currently been with the National Guard, who's now working with TRADOC, would be able to throw his hat in, because he's still federally recognized and a 2-star. So you got that pool, but it's not uncommon to see in other states someone who was, my predecessor was a lieutenant colonel when he got the position. And normally what happens then is they try to promote them as fast as they can, i.e. 1 year in each different rank until they get to the 2-star level. But my peer group nationally is today you're a colonel, tomorrow you're going to be a 2-star, but they've got to go through the federal recognition process. So it's not a gift per se. They got to meet all the standards and so forth that go with it. So the process of selecting that the governor is referring to has to be very deliberate and very well tuned. And with the staff that he has selected, I'm more than comfortable. It's top-notch, top-shelf crew. So I don't know if I'm answering your question.
Yeah, I think I see what you're saying, Ryan. After I think it was back in the 80s, the legislature changed the law to add some of the language I think you're focused on at the very end of the press release. And we have to actually look at the statute. But if the statute says what's here, I think you're right in saying that at least 1 year of experience as a brigadier general. In the past, there's been some efforts in other states to, cram that in beforehand, but here we're operating on such a short time window, I don't think that would even be possible.
So, are we talking a handful of people that even have the requirements?
Well, if it's brigadier general,
For example, General Dunbar, who is the Adjutant General for Wisconsin, is a 1-star general. He is fulfilling his 1 year holding that rank before he will be able to be promoted to a 2-star. So you can't spend 1 day as a brigadier and then the
he's
next day.
focused on this though, General, that
Yeah.
to be the tag, you got to have all these criteria, the last one of which is at least 1 year in the rank of brigadier general.
Yeah, but that would be that, but it's still, I'm saying, a major could start, but as a brigadier, he's got to have 1 year in it. That's the way I read it.
I'm still not clear on that. You said there's like 6 or 7 generals in the Guard. and you-
Yeah. Well, why don't we do this? Our lawyer, or Colonel Wellness, will get you the answer. Come on up, Colonel.
Yeah, we got the language here. It's also on the press release. Colonel Eric Allness, Director of Government Affairs. The requirement is to be a field grade officer, as General Shellito said, so you have to be a major, lieutenant colonel, or a colonel to apply for the position. Or above, correct, or above. Once selected, you will be breveted to the rank of brigadier general, and you have to serve at least 1 year in that. So obviously, if it was a brigadier general, or if someone was promoted, they would maybe have to serve 1 year unless they're eligible for immediate promotion. But if it was, say, a colonel appointed, selected for the position, that individual would have to serve 1 year as a brigadier general before they'd be eligible for promotion to major general.
But while they were the brigadier general, they could still be the tag.
Yes, correct. Once selected, you can be selected major, lieutenant colonel, colonel, brigadier general, major general.
So
All
they're
those
both- they're all-
ranks are
You're
eligible.
both right.
So if you're appointed, you automatically become
Yeah.
a brigadier general when you take off.
But what Brian's trying to figure out is, can he identify the 6 people who are currently brigadier generals or so he knows who the pool is? And the answer is, if you did it the way Colonel Alnish just described, there'd be a larger number of people, right?
So
Pool is large.
How many would be in the pool from major on up?
A lot.
You're in the hundreds.
A lot. Anything else on this? Now that we have had our legal hypothetical for the day? Are there questions on unrelated topics anybody wants to talk about? Yeah, Don? I'll come back in a...
Just real quickly.
Yeah.
Do you lean toward a general, an existing general?
You know, I don't want to prejudge the outcome of the process, Don, but obviously if you look at the statutory requirements plus what I said earlier, we're going to be looking for somebody who's seasoned, experienced, tested, has some deployment experience on his or her resume. Okay? Thank you, General, thanks. Thank you. Thank you. You're the best. You can, I think they may want to talk about other stuff, so. Do you guys have other questions on anything else? If not, I'm not soliciting, I'm just,
Can you comment on what is currently coming about you?
you know, the first I heard about that was from the press today. I don't know anything about it, Don. I don't know the person involved. I didn't even know it was, I didn't even know what was going on. So first I heard about it was this afternoon.
Have you heard about the McClure person?
No, don't know anything about it.
Have you had other people wanting to write books about you, besides your own book?
You know, over the years, various people have written in and suggested it or offered to help or wanted to write it or wanted to be a, broker or agent or whatever, and we have not responded to any of those inquiries until the one I mentioned to you recently. But as to this book that somebody's got on the wire today or on the web today, I don't know anything about it. I don't know what's in it, never heard about it. Was never contacted about it.
So you didn't get an advanced copy?
No,
Have you ordered one from Amazon yet?
no.
Are you going to?
I don't know. I don't know. Is it, it's, Brian?
There's a few pages available online, I read those.
Yeah. Is it any good? Yeah.
The guy running the house next to you at Egan, did you know?
Well, I can be careful what I do in the yard now.
Anything else? All right,
I cover it. Thanks, guys.